Hey everybody, what's going on? Listen, all I gotta say is that this session I'm going to have to get in a heavy RP moment with Kieran and Dane's father. And for that, I came prepared.
Hey.
Hey!
I came prepared.
I
All right.
always come.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Oh! Alright.
Never mind. So much for that stream. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Time to sex was how long?
Okay, yeah. All right, let's go. So last session, you guys were in the woods for ages, and what happened? So you guys were in the woods. You finally found the source of all of these creatures that you've been coming across. At first, you thought maybe they were smaller, shambling mounds. They weren't. At least now you've learned to discover they weren't. They're all around this one area. There's this creature, this creature that's clearly like controlling them and controlling other peoples that have been able to be turned green. I'm being told no cameras.
The cameras are wrong.
Cameras are wrong.
Yeah. I'm
Oh!
not Stalboy.
Oh, that's funny. That's
They're
because
all
of
wrong.
that's because of Adventure Camp. I can change that. I can change that as we go. That's fine. So I'll fix that in a second. Cool. Thanks for the heads up on it. So what was I say? So you guys have been doing that for a long period of time. Finally found out where it was, and then we had this amazing like chase scene at the end. Where you guys were literally just trying to get away, save your lives. There was some incredible successes. I actually think that there was the one failure that happened was a fail by one, which is like barely even a failure. Everybody else was just constantly succeeding by like 10 and stuff like that. It was amazing. So eventually you were able to get away. You sat down and rested for a bit. He called to the ship to like, yeah, let's just keep heading this direction. And you guys continued going that way. I'm going to throw it to you guys to kind of pick up because I know like you're exhausted, you're tired, you're wet, you're miserable. I'm going to throw it to you guys to kind of like how you're feeling as you're trudging through this swamp that you're still in. Feeling like you have information and you have marginal success, but you don't have incredible success. And don't forget about all the information you came with across the way. Like this thing is controlling people. They're starting to change, and what does it mean? So go ahead, pick it up, and I'll fix your cameras.
Stalball feels great.
Yeah, Stalboy does feel great.
He was
Kieran's
like
super grumpy.
horrendously injured, wandered off one night, and is now really happy and cheery.
I was pretty injured, but I'm healed now. I'm good. I'm a little injured. I'm still missing 4 health points.
Yeah. So
Wow.
you'll see Luca. He's pretty he's been bandaging himself and all that. He's looking all right, but for the most part, he's just like kind of just staring at the body that he's brought with him, just like keeping a watch on it, just like
Brought a body with you?
contemplating. Yeah, I have the body of the person that was like in charge of these things with us.
The person that was like,
Oh!
that was like,
Yeah.
follow me, I'll show you where to go.
Yes.
Yeah, and then like
Oh.
was like doing the whole monologue, and then these things started coming at us. I made sure to kill him and take him with us.
Yeah.
I mean,
And,
do you want me to take a look at him, Luca?
I mean, what would taking a look at him do?
I mean, he's clearly, well, who knows what kind of foul magic was in this man's head.
He'll you can see Luke will nod to that, but he's being very weary. He's like, sure, but I'll still be right here watching.
Watch and learn, Luca. Watch and learn. I'll ritual cast detect magic while we're taking a break somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently got a little bit of cork
On
at
the
the bottom
cork.
of that bottle of wine that I've been sipping for a while.
That's why you don't usually sip wine
From the bottle? Yeah.
from the bottle.
Yeah, I usually put it into a glass.
Usually
So-
chug it.
All right, so you go to the corpse and you go to investigate it and see what you can see, Stalbor. You cast detect magic on it, and the corpse is giving off no magics whatsoever. Yeah. So you're looking at it and you're like, detect magic. I don't see any magics happening here. I don't see what's going on. So I imagine you want to investigate it further. This is your forte.
Yeah, I'll do a medicine check on it while if we're like breaking in.
Yeah. As you guys travel for a couple more hours, eventually you just stop, and instead of taking a short rest, everybody else is resting. Stalbor, who's actually feeling incredibly well compared to everybody else, will stop and take his let me see that corpse now. You're welcome to do so whenever you're
Take
ready.
a little bit of a dagger. 16.
Wow, that was weird. You rolled double 11s. I'm not joking. Have you noticed how often this happens lately?
Yeah.
Ollie? Like Neil did that.
I
I think
noticed how often that's been happening.
that happened 3 times to Neil on Yavik Scare, and then on Lost Initiative on Wednesday that same day. I saw it happening twice with either disadvantage or advantage. Just rolled
Happened
double.
a few times on Will's game.
Oh really?
On Thursday.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's happening.
Maybe they've messed with their dice code and fact it. Who knows? 16 though.
Yeah. Either way, so with your 16, you're looking over the body, and the first thing that you can tell is this person, this human that you're looking at here, they're actually still, for the most part, human. And I say for the most part for a reason, because they are in fact still a human that you're looking at. There's still organs and stuff like that, but everything seems tough. Seems a bit tougher than usual. No, not rigor mortis. You're familiar with that. You're familiar with how that affects the organs and so on and so forth. You're actually seeing a bit of a toughness to it, because it's the cells themselves seem different. When you use magics to kind of like enhance it and look at it, you don't really have a microscope or anything on you. You just notice like the cells. You notice that the structure of the body on it just seems slightly off. It seems slightly different. But the thing that really catches you off guard is when you get up close, when you're really looking at things, especially the organs, they all have a greenish tinge to them. They all have this like slight faint greenish tinge to them. So that like I barely described to you when you were interacting with this person while they were still alive, but it was such a small thing that it wasn't even really noteworthy, and you guys didn't even react to it. But now that you're like looking inside the body, it's more drastic on the inside. But more than that, as you see the body starting to like decay a little bit, the green is starting to fade in areas and starting to turn brown.
I'll actually, I'll have it like on the ground. I'll stand back, get my camera out. Like it opened up. I'm like, well, they'll like that. That's probably a bonus.
Cool. Awesome. So you take the picture and you do everything that you need to do with that or whatever, which is awesome. And and you start and you more or less like do you report to the rest of the party, or?
I imagine Luca was there watching.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't actually talk about it much. I'd stitch it up enough so that you can carry it without all its organs sloughing out, and then just like put it back on Luca's shoulder. Like, well, we should be off.
Staple it, kind of a thing. Awesome. All right, so you do that, and then you guys continue traveling for a bit more. Eventually, the ship is going to line up with you guys, and you are in fact going to find it, because if I remember correctly, you are in fact going there to his ship. Kieran, I think, had a moment where she was thinking of going somewhere else, but decided, no, let's actually give up and go to the ship, correct?
Yeah, I was told they might get eaten by a bear, so sticking around for that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That'd be absolutely
I
grizzly.
remember that. That was
Eric.
That was unbearable, Eric.
Oh, come no.
Stop it.
No.
Stop
Please.
it.
Please don't do this. All right, moving on. So, Kieran, one last time, if you could do me a favor, roll me a wisdom check.
She's so wise.
This will go well.
A wise gal.
I have faith in Kieran delivering.
Oh.
I always roll really well in my wisdom
What?
check,
What is?
like, weirdly enough.
What is this?
Will, you reacted before I even saw the die roll. That's funny.
Saw it.
You went,
It's in the
ooh,
future,
like you
don't
saw it
worry
before
about it.
I even saw it. Like, I just thought it was funny. It's probably because my computer's being taxed because it's the one streaming that I get things slower. But I just thought that was a little funny. All right, so moving on. You, Kieran, when you see the ship approach, one of the things that you notice is it approaches from the east, actually the northeast direction is where it's coming from. It's just like a small noteworthy thing, but nothing that's like super crazy. But it comes to a stop, and what comes off of the ship, and it moves far slower than anything you experienced in Sharn. But what comes off the ship is a bit of like a longboat. It's a flying vessel that goes up and down. You guys actually saw these when you were in the airship before. Remember, you used it to get up to the airship. I believe you use it, or maybe to get down back to the boat that you were traveling with at the end of season 1 when you guys were attacking that one airship, right? Or catching up to it. So it's a long boat that can fly up and down. It has very little maneuverability, very little speed, but it has a means to get you in and out easily. So that boat comes down, and what comes down on the boat is not the first mate. They wouldn't do that because to bring the first mate down would leave nobody manning the ship above. But one of the trusted crew members comes down. So you have the ship's priest comes down, and you have the ship's master of arms comes down. So they come down to the ship, and the master of arms immediately, as soon as you guys come down, he takes a small device, cranks something to the side, and just hurls it out behind you. And so as he does that, it splops into the ground and then kind of pops outwards. And what pops out are 3 small creatures whose bodies, so it has legs, like little thick stubby legs, kind of like what you would imagine gnomes would be. Instead of an upper body, its whole body is like a crossbow, and it has arms that come out the side. So it's like it has legs and arms and a crossbow. And immediately as it does that, it grabs its own string, pulls it back, grabs an arrow from seemingly nowhere, a bolt, loads itself, and starts kind of like plopping off in a direction away from you guys, and the other 2 that pop out going different directions, and they start like working the perimeter to make sure that things are secure. Also, while that's happening, at the same time, kind of like jumping into action, the priest comes forward and lets out a prayer, pulling out some dust that he has inside of his pouch, pulls out some dust, saying a prayer and blowing it out towards you guys, turning a healing word, which is usually a bonus action spell, turning a healing word into a mass healing word, healing everybody that damage that it would cover. It doesn't really matter so much. I'm not even going to roll it because it's so nominal at this point, but they more or less are just springing into action to make sure that things are good. As soon as they do that, the Master of Arms comes down and makes his way over to the captain, his captain, and says to him, Halabar, how are you? And kind of like as he's saying this, he's drawing his sword and not looking at him, but like looks past him, like over his shoulder, and is like clearly scouting the area. He's like, "It's fine. We were able to get away. The sooner we get out of the mud, the sooner we get out of the danger." He nods to that and has Halabar get onto the ship, get onto like the little longboat thing, and looks to the rest of you, kind of like judges for a second, and then invites all of you to come on.
Yeah, I go on.
Yeah.
I happily.
With body, with me.
Not happily.
And Reich?
You're muted.
You're muted. That's why I didn't hear you. It's because...
Sorry, staying behind.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm staying behind. No, I'm not going on this ship.
Listen, Daniel-san. Okay, you all right, so you guys climb onto the longboat, and it starts to pull up from the muck from down below. Roll me perception checks, all of you. For the viewers at home, don't forget the drinking game that Aaron had come up with. And one of the important ones is if somebody erics a roll, unintentionally erics a roll, you must take a shot of some sort of hard liquor.
I nearly ericked. I was like, oh.
I paid attention too.
So,
Eric, you mean successfully rolls very high, then yes.
No, come on, man. It's too late now.
I hate you all.
Become part of the zeitgeist.
I hate everyone.
So you guys make your rolls, and as you're making your way up there, honestly, Stalbor is probably happy to be out of the muck and happy to be back on a ship because he actually is genuinely comfortable on ships in general. And he's a bit distracted in his own mind anyways. He's like out there, we're going to be where I have good lighting. I'm going to be able to have like a facility where I can look at this body more. I can get a little bit more information, so on and so forth. Kieran is probably just upset, tapping her foot, arms crossed, just glowering, doesn't notice anything. Reich, who is of course taking in all of his surroundings, also sees that the 3 creatures were left behind, the creatures down below that have crossbows for bodies, and they're continuing to scout the area. However, Luca, who is super kind of in the moment and focused. Of course, he sees that too, and he sees everybody else's moods around him. But Luca also notices that there is sitting in a tree nearby, literally kind of like leaning back on a stump and watching you guys, is a decent sized orc. Like we're talking like a solid like 5'9", very 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 thick built orc is sitting there, and he's playing with like a rock, a very sharpened rock, plucking dirt out from underneath his nail. And he was clearly just kind of like lazily watching you guys as you were doing whatever you were doing. But now, like as you look and you notice him, you guys meet eyes for a second, and as you guys like meet eyes, he gives you like a very slight nod.
Is he dressed the same way the other orcs were? Mm-hmm. Oh wait, did I? I never even saw the other orcs, did I?
You did. You ran past them, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You guys.
Okay, yeah.
You just saw them the least out of everyone.
Yeah. I know I saw them least. I just didn't know if I saw them actually. Yeah. Oh, so he's just like that. He gives me like a slight nod. I actually. I won't give a nod back. I'll just kind of like. I lock eyes with him for a couple of seconds. He gives the nod, and I just like turn back to the ship, to the people on the ship essentially, and just like, basically don't show any emotion toward him because I don't know what the hell to think of these things at this point.
Well, they're orcs, dude. They're people. I mean, Jesus.
Well, no, not that, but they were hanging out with the guy who touched everyone's mind but mine, and now I think everyone might be a little crazy. Just saying.
Just sure. So you make your way back onto so the thing flies up and it flies to the ship. Now, even Stalbor can see that this ship is not like the other airships that you've seen so far. This ship is very finely crafted. Now, Stalbor doesn't notice this because he gives a flying fuck about the design of airships or the inner workings of the house societies or any of the garbage or the meaning of the symbols that are there. He doesn't care. He just does not care. It's literally a flaw of his. However, as he's flying up towards the ship, he can see the grain of the wood that the ship is comprised of, out of the soar wood that the ship is comprised of, which comes from the island of Aranel. And he can see the age of the wood that's here. He can feel the magics coming off of the wood itself as he's flying past it. So even Stalbor can tell that the magnitude, the significance of this ship is great. Funny enough, it's not the largest airship any of you guys have seen. Like, I want it to be clear. When I talk about, like, the significance of the ship, it's not because it's really big. It's just so amazingly well crafted. It's almost perfectly crafted. So when you guys land up on the ship, it's so well crafted that literally as you step onto the ship and your muddy boots hits the first planks that they land on, your boots themselves have the mud sucked from them almost immediately into the wood, and the wood itself seems to enjoy it. Like it seems to be nourished by the fact that it took the liquid from your the boots.
That's smart magic right there.
And
yeah,
so
Talbot will say that like the second it happens. Probably to no amusement.
That actually that reminded me of Fern Gully.
Yes.
When like the smog
beneath me,
when it's like eating it, and it's just like
above.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yes, that's exactly what it reminded me of.
Toxic love. Oh God, I love it. I love it. Oh, love it. So, anyways, continuing on. So as you guys step onto the ship, you see that the entire ship, literally every single solitary member of the crew, or at least you assume every single solitary member of the crew, because you literally see like Cook over there, Deck Swab over there, stuff like that, are all standing on the ship, and all of them completely at attention as Halabar steps onto the ship. And as Halabar steps onto the ship, regards his entire crew amongst them, he says to them, "At ease," and every one of them goes back to their work. Like they just kind of like filter away, almost immediately spilling back under deck and going off to the things that they need to take care of. One in particular member, being a gnome, turns and takes like 5 or 6 running steps and jumps off of the side of the ship and then grabs onto handholds of the struts that are on the side of the boat that maintain the huge what's it called? Air elemental that's all around it, and immediately pulls out a tool and starts working on it. So he turns to you guys and he says, "I'm sure there's much to discuss," and his eyes will turn to Kieran. "But I'm also sure that baths are in order. there's a difference between spells to clean your body and a good old-fashioned soak. Please, one of them will take you to a place where you can relax. And one of the crew members comes forward, and he gives like a salute to his the captain of the ship, and he turns to you guys and says, "If you follow me, I'll bring you to a comfortable place for you to rest." The four of you are traveling companions, friends.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The best of friends.
We have emissaries' quarters. Come with me. And he leads you guys to below deck. But one of the things that you notice, Kieran, is it's not just like way down below deck. It's actually kind of like what you have set up for some of your crew members. Mm-hmm. It's actually like very easily accessible to, like, it has great windows, has a great view. It's similar to where the captain's quarters is. Easily accessible back up to the top, to the main deck. Gorgeous railings and whatnot around. But the important thing to note is what happens actually is they open up a door to a comfortable common room. And that common room has three rooms that come off of it to three different bedrooms. And there's a fourth room that comes off over to a bathroom. However, seeing that there are four of you and not three of you, he actually goes over to a portion of the wall, and he takes a symbol out that you guys can see that it's House Galanda. House Galanda symbol on like a little pendant or whatever that he has. And he presses it against the wall, and he starts like muttering a few words to himself, and a door literally appears within the wood right there. And he opens it up, and you can see, identical to the other three, a fourth room appears for you guys to have a fourth room for comfort. He says, "I'll lead you to your bathings. I imagine the Admiral will not want to speak with you until sometime this evening. So enjoy your relaxation. If you need anything, feel free to go above deck or down below and find your way to the kitchens. Do you have any questions before I take my leave?"
No. Lucas stays quiet.
And then they turn and they walk away. So they walk away, and he walks away and leaves you guys to your common room with 4 bedrooms and bathroom.
All right.
I want to say something that's going to sound weird.
Uh-oh.
Does the bathroom have a lock on it?
Scott, I think you should roll for it.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm just
I
gonna
don't
say.
like that he's asking this question. That disturbs
Let the
me.
fates decide.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
We're all roommates. I think we would know
Yeah,
if you were a little bit
No,
a
well,
little
here's
bit,
the thing. When Luca's in the bath, Stalbor's gonna enter the room. Like after 5 minutes or so of him soaking, he's gonna enter the room and close the door behind him. Like,
Yeah,
Luca-
boy.
Yeah, Luca's in the bath. He's soaking. He's naked.
Is it a bubble bath?
It's gotta be a bubble.
There's like a rubber ducky, and he's totally playing with it. And he's like, oh.
But, yeah, that's his rubber ducky. He brought that with him.
He brings it with him everywhere.
He brought that from home.
Just in case.
Are you going full blown Ernie style here? Like
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
Oh god. All right. So, anyways, the sad part is because you're from Karnath, I imagine it's like an undead rubber ducky.
I was gonna say, there's no way it's a normal duck, right? There's something fucked up with it.
All right. So anyways, you come walking into the room and shut the door behind you.
Mm-hmm. I'm just like, Luca, we need to talk. Private, of course, which is...
Luca stops for a second. He looks and then goes, "About what?" And he just continues bathing.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Luca, and I need you to promise me that you're not going to freak out and you're going to keep it a secret.
Yes.
There is magic inside Kieran and Reich's head, put there by whatever creature we met in that tree, that is probably slowly manipulating their minds into becoming tools for their endgame.
He lets out a very deep breath. Not quite a sigh, but he takes a very deep breath and says, "Well, you've already told me that this magic has touched your
I don't
mind."
think it's changed me. There was a He bans to say something and stops and just goes, a necromancer in the forests that I communicated with and warned me. Now, what that creature showed me was the end of the world. And I think his duty is to stop it. I've got nothing to do with that plan, but these two do. So I can sense it in their heads. Reich a lot more than Kieran.
He nods to that and says, "Yeah, I have noticed the Reich's been
He's been acting strange.
like not
says,
strange
like,
enough for me to
opening up-
question him."
Like sitting right by the bath and like opening up the lotions and like smelling.
Yeah.
Really strange.
Yeah. Luke is like, not strange enough for me to say anything, but yes, not his usual self.
That's what happens when someone's mind is very slowly manipulated. We elves trained against such things.
Luke
sense,
will
hobgoblins
nod
are.
and say, well, do you think he knows?
I don't think either of them know. That's
You
why I
know.
wanted you to know, because if they do something horrendously out of character, it might not be their fault.
I understand that, and I do believe we need to be aware and maybe prevent those things from happening.
I'm working on some magical means to do so as we speak, but magic either takes time or doesn't, and really there's no way of knowing until the moment strikes.
He'll nod to that, and he'll like look at you, and then like look at the bath, and then look back at you, and then look at the door, and go, "Well, I'm just about finished here."
Ah, yes, of course. Good talk, Luca. And then leaves and closes the door again.